some of the properties of transition elements. Today we will continue the rest of the properties, and today we will finish all the properties of transition metals. Students, we have already studied about standard electrode potential and the factors affecting standard electrode potential. Now let's discuss the trends in M3 plus bar M2 plus in determining the standard electrode potential. There are mainly 4 points to discuss here. The first point is the low value of scandium. Why scandium has low value? Look, scandium 2 plus to scandium 3 plus. In scandium in 3 plus oxidation state, it goes into noble gas electronic configuration. Noble gas configuration, which is a highly stable configuration. Hence only low energy is needed. So it has low value of scandium, low value of electrode potential for scandium. Next, look for zinc. Zinc has the highest value because zinc in 2 plus state is highly stable. So high energy is needed to transform zinc from 2 plus to the 3 plus oxidation state. Zinc in 3 plus oxidation state. Hence it has high E0 value of M2 plus bar M3 plus. This is the reason for the high value for zinc. Next, look, high value for manganese because Mn in 2 plus state is having D5 configuration. When to transform into M3 plus, it needs high energy. So high value for manganese, high value of E0 standard electrode potential for M2 plus bar M3 plus. This is the reason for having high value of E0 for manganese. Next is low value for iron. Iron in 2 plus state, Fe in 2 plus state to Fe in 3 plus state. Fe in 3 plus state is highly stable, we already know. Hence the E0 M2 plus bar M3 plus will have high value. Okay. These are the 4 important points that you should take care in the case of trends in M3 plus bar M2 plus in determining the standard electrode potential. Now let's discuss the trends in stability of higher oxidation state. This tetrahalides, this is tetrahalides VF5 and CrF6. They show highest oxidation number. TiX4, VF5 and CrF6 exhibit high oxidation number in the case of halides. X is halide, representation of halide, VF5 and CrF6. In the case of halides, they exhibit the highest oxidation number. In the case of oxohalides, +7 is exhibited by MnO3F. This is oxohalide, oxohalides. In the case of MnO3F, +7 is exhibited, okay. And next is the case of trihalides, MnF3, COF3 and FeX3. These are the 3 main trihalides that are stable. The main trihalides that are stable are MnF3, COF3 and FeX3. And also +5 oxidation number is exhibited by vanadium pentafluoride. This is vanadium pentafluoride, VF5. And also +5 is exhibited by oxohalide, that is VOX3. X can be fluorine, chlorine, etc. Okay. +5 is exhibited by VF5 and VOX3. You should remember all these examples. So, next important topic that we are going to discuss is disproportionation. The term disproportionation. What is disproportionation? When one oxidation state is relatively less stable compared to other 2 oxidation states, one will be relatively higher and the other lower, it undergoes disproportionation. When an oxidation state becomes less stable compared to the other oxidation states, it undergoes disproportionation reaction. Let's look. The example, MnO4 2 minus plus 4H plus will give 2 MnO4 minus plus MnO2 plus 2 H2O. This is an example of disproportionation reaction. Calculate the oxidation state of MnO4 2 minus, MnO4 minus and MnO2. What we can see? In MnO4 2 minus, what is the oxidation state of manganese? It is +6. +6 is the oxidation state of MnO4 2 minus. Mn, manganese in MnO4 2 minus. And in MnO4 minus, what is the oxidation state? It is plus 7. And in MnO2 it is plus 4. We can see the plus 6 oxidation state gets disproportionated into plus 7 and plus 4. Into plus 6 disproportionates into plus 7 and plus 4. This is disproportionation. This plus 6 is unstable, so it undergoes disproportionation. When a particular oxidation state becomes less stable relative to the other oxidation states, one lower and the other higher, it undergoes disproportionation reaction. Next, look at this reaction. Cu2 plus gets oxidized. It oxidizes I minus to I2. The reaction is 2Cu2 plus 4I minus gives Cu2I2 plus I2. This is the reaction. Cu2 plus oxidizes I minus to I2. This is in 0 oxidation state, minus 1 to 0 oxidation state. Here, copper in 1 oxidation state is unstable in aqueous solutions. In aqueous solution, the copper in plus 1 oxidation state is unstable. So, it undergoes disproportionation. Disproportionates. It disproportionates from plus 1 to plus 2. This is an example of disproportionation reaction. 2Cu plus gives Cu2 plus Cu. Listen here. Cu in plus 1 oxidation state is D10 and Cu in 2 plus is D9. But Cu plus is unstable. Why? As the reason of Cu plus is unstable, it gets disproportionates into Cu2 plus Cu. So Cu2 plus is more stable than Cu plus. Why? Because in the case of Cu2 plus, in aqueous solution, delta H hydration enthalpy is more than the ionization enthalpy. Hence, it cannot compensate the ionization enthalpy value. That is delta H hydration. Delta H hydration that we have already studied. The hydration enthalpy is very high and the ionization enthalpy cannot compensate the value of hydration enthalpy. So, it is highly stable in the case of Cu2 plus in aqueous solutions. Only in aqueous solution the Cu in plus 1 oxidation state disproportionates to Cu in 2 plus oxidation state plus Cu. This is also an example of disproportionation reaction. Next important property that we are going to discuss is complex formation. Transition elements form many compounds. Many complexes they are formed. That is, the metal, when they combine with ligand, form coordination compounds. Metal plus ligand. Metal, when they combine with ligand, form coordination complexes. That is, they form coordinate bonds. Coordinate bonds and form complexes. Some of the examples of coordination complexes are FeCN6 4 minus. Another compound is FeCN6 3 minus. PtCl4 PtCl6 4 minus, and another is copper NH3 6 times 2 plus. These are some of the examples of complexes formed by transition metals. Why the transition metals are forming complexes? It forms large number of complexes. Why is it so? Because of the smaller size of d orbital. Smaller size of transition metals. Smaller size of transition metals. The first reason is they are smaller in size. Second reason is they have high ionic charges. High ionic charges. First reason is their smaller size. The next is the high ionic charges. As it have high ionic charges, the d orbitals will be available for bonding. Availability of d orbitals for bonding. Availability of d orbitals for bonding. Availability of d orbitals. These are the three reasons why these transition metals form complexes. Now let's study about an important compound of transition metals. The first compound that we are going to study is potassium dichromate, K2Cr2O7. How is it prepared? And it's some of the reactions. First, how is potassium dichromate prepared? It is prepared from chromate, and chromate is prepared from chromite ore. Let's look. The fusion of chromite ore with sodium or potassium carbonate in excess of air will give you what? Chromate. Chromite ore with sodium or potassium carbonate in excess of air will give you chromate. Look at the reaction. FeCr2O4 plus sodium carbonate Na2CO3 plus oxygen will give you, this is sodium chromate, Na2CrO4 plus 2Fe2O3 plus 8O2. Look here, it is yellow in color. Remember the color? It is yellow in color. Sodium chromate is yellow in color. And when this sodium chromate, when it is filtered and then acidified with sulfuric acid, we will get crystals of sodium chromate. Crystals of sodium chromate, and it is what? Orange in color. Orange. Look, when we fuse chromite ore with sodium carbonate or potassium carbonate in excess of air, we will get sodium chromate, Na2CrO4. When it is acidified with sulfuric acid and filtered, we will get Na2Cr2O7. This is sodium dichromate, that is orange colored in nature. And the reaction is Na2CrO4 when it is acidified, that is addition of H plus. We will get Na2Cr2O7 plus 2Na plus H2O. This is the reaction of what we will get here. This is sodium dichromate. When this sodium dichromate is dissolved in KCl, what we will get? Potassium dichromate. This is the preparation of potassium dichromate. Fusion of chromite ore with sodium or potassium carbonate in excess of air will get you chromate, which is, or sodium chromate, which is yellow in color. And when it is filtered and acidified with H2SO4, what we will get? Sodium dichromate. And this sodium dichromate is dissolved in KCl, what we will get? K2Cr2O7, that is potassium dichromate. Study all this reaction, it is very important. Next important thing is chromates and dichromates are interconvertible. They can be converted from chromate to dichromate and from dichromate to chromate based on the pH. On different pH, it will be interconvertible. Look, CrO4 minus plus 2H plus will give dichromate. Cr2O7 2 minus plus H2O. Chromate is converted into dichromate in acidic pH. 2H plus. Dichromate can be converted back to chromate in basic pH. This is what is meant by they are interconvertible based on the pH. Now let's look at the structure of chromate and dichromate. This is the structure of chromate. Chromate, it is tetrahedral in structure. Structure is tetrahedral. Tetrahedral. This is CrO4 2 minus. There are 2 oxygen with minus charge and 2 double bond. This is the structure of dichromate. Here the angle is 126 degree and this is 179 pm picometer, and this CrO minus bond is 163 picometer. Okay. This is structure of dichromate. Here 2 tetrahedron are joined together by CrO-Cr bond. CrO-Cr bond. Remember the CrO bond length is 179 picometer and the CrO-Cr bond angle is 126 degree. Remember both the structures. Now let's look at the oxidizing action of potassium dichromate. That is Cr2SN2 minus plus 14H plus 6 electrons will give 2Cr3 plus H2O. That is Cr2SN2 minus gets converted into 2Cr3 plus. The standard electrode potential value of this is 1.33 volt. This is the oxidizing action of Cr2SN2 minus, and it oxidizes iodides to iodine. That is 6I minus to 3I2 plus 6 electron. Iodides to iodine. Iodides to iodine. This is the first oxidizing reaction. Second is sulfides to sulfur. That is sulfides to sulfur. Sulfide get converted into sulfur. This is the next oxidizing reaction. H2S gives 6H plus 3S plus 6 electron. Next is tin from 2 plus oxidation state gets oxidized into tin in 4 plus oxidation state. Tin in plus 2 to plus 4 oxidation state. Plus 4 oxidation state. This is another oxidation reaction. It oxidizes SN2 plus 2, SN4 plus 6 electrons. Next is iron from 2 plus state to iron in 3 plus state. That is 6Fe2 plus 6Fe3 plus 6Fe2 plus will give 6Fe3 plus 6 electrons. Iron in 2 plus oxidation state get converted into iron in 3 plus oxidation state. These are the 4 oxidizing reactions of potassium dichromate. Let's discuss the uses of potassium dichromate. It is used mainly in leather industry and also for the preparation of some of the chromium compounds. Preparation of chromium compounds. Chromium compounds used in leather industry and is used as an oxidant for the preparation of many of the azo compounds. Preparation of many of the azo compounds. It is an oxidant. So, sodium and potassium dichromates are usually strong oxidizing agents and is used in analytical chemistry usually. And also it is used as a primary standard in volumetric analysis. Usually for the estimation of Fe2 plus. Estimation of Fe2 plus and I minus, we usually use potassium dichromate as a primary standard in volumetric analysis. What is a primary standard? Because dichromate can be used as a primary standard because dichromate is highly pure. It is obtained as in high purity and also it is not hygroscopic. That is, it will not absorb moisture from the surroundings. It is not hygroscopic and also it can be obtained in pure form. So they are used as primary standard in volumetric analysis. These are the uses of potassium dichromate. Hence we have completed potassium dichromate. What all we studied here? We studied its preparation. It is obtained from chromite ore. The reactions we studied and then the interconversion of chromite to dichromate and vice versa. We studied the structure of chromate and dichromate, the bond angle, bond length, etc. It is very important. And also we studied the oxidizing action of potassium dichromate. Also it oxidizes iodides to iodine, sulfide to sulfur, iron in plus 2 oxidation state to plus 3 oxidation state, etc. You should study all these reactions. It is very important. And also at last we studied some of the uses of potassium dichromate. That's all for today. I am going to conclude today's session. If you have any doubt, you can comment below. Thank you and have a nice day.